Imagine spending 4 days twisting through some of the most remote corridors of the Grand Canyon, descending chains and ladders down slippery cliff faces, navigating through waist-high creek crossings, swimming in sparkly turquoise water, and getting to explore some of the most picturesque waterfalls on the entire planet. Welcome to Havasupai. Ever since I saw a photo of the Turquoise Waterfalls splashed on my Instagram feed years ago, backpacking Havasupai has been sitting at the top of my bucket list. And in May 2025, we finally got to cross it off.
Supai is a tiny village located at the bottom of the Grand Canyon in northwest Arizona. About 200 members of the Havasupai tribe live in this remote community, and they're generous enough to welcome hundreds of backpackers into their home every single day.
Not without a high price tag though. As of 2025, backpacking permits cost a staggering $455 per person, making these the most expensive backpacking permits in the entire world.
But we're here to tell you, it's 100% worth it.
Our adventure began in Vegas, where we paddled through the scenic Black Canyon to Emerald Cave and hiked some of the most epic trails in Lake Mead National Recreation Area.
The day before our Havasupai backpacking trip, we drove to Kingman, where we stumbled upon this really neat trail system. We hiked a couple miles of the White Cliffs wagon trail in the middle of a thunderstorm and ate lunch at a picnic table right off the trail.
Then we drove to Grand Canyon Caverns, where we checked in for our hike, got all of our wristbands, tags, and forms, and stayed overnight at the campground.
Our alarm went off at 2:30 a.m. We were buzzing with excitement, nervousness, and anticipation as we packed our bags, boiled some water for hot tea and coffee, and drove an hour and a half in the dark to the remote Havasupai trailhead.
Upon arriving at the hilltop, we parked our car and ate breakfast before finally setting off on our epic backpacking adventure.
Good morning, we made it to the trailhead. 6:30 a.m. It took us like 30 minutes to get everything packed up and ready to go, but we are rolling.
Yeah.
So excited. So everyone talks about the beautiful waterfalls here at Havasu, but they don't talk about the trail. Like, look at this. Like, look, probably not the best angle, but so
there
cool.
I am. The hike from the trailhead to the campground is 10 miles. The first mile is incredibly steep. While the rest is fairly flat and very rocky.
We took our time twisting through the canyons, admiring the towering rock walls, and soaking up all of the incredible beauty surrounding us.
By the time we arrived in the Supai village, it had started to rain. You aren't allowed to take any photos or videos here, so we don't have any footage of the village. Basically, there are just some houses, a cafe, a general store, a church, a school, and a lodge.
The last 2 miles were the longest. We were exhausted from the distance, the weight of our packs, and the rain that just wouldn't quit.
The fact that that could be fry bread is my only motivation.
It was a relief when we finally arrived at camp.
We made it. We're at Havasu. We're at the campground, and we got here at like 1.
Yeah.
So it took us like 6.5 hours to hike down here, but you know, we were stopping a lot, we were taking photos and videos, so honestly the last 2 miles was the most rough from the village to the campground, because we just kept thinking like it was around the corner.
Well, and it started raining on us.
And it was raining, so we just got in and set up our tent real quick and then took a nap.
Felt great.
We had dinner, walked around the campground, and then now we're back in here at 6 o'clock. We'll start the adventures tomorrow. Today was an adventure, just the hike down.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was a lot.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna get some rest.
At 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. And then we'll see you guys at the waterfalls tomorrow.
The Havasupai campground sits in between Havasu Falls and Mooney Falls. About a mile long, it boasts a variety of campsites. From large creekside sites with no privacy to hidden campsites tucked away against the canyon wall, there's something for everyone. Amenities in the campground are pretty bare bones, but are actually pretty good for a backcountry site. There are 4 pit toilet buildings, which are notoriously out of toilet paper, so bring your own. A freshwater spring where you can fill up your water bottles. We saw many people who chose not to filter their water, but we didn't want to risk getting sick, so we did. Along with picnic tables at many of the campsites.
We chose a campsite near the beginning, closer to Havasu Falls. Our site was off to the left, just before the spring water spigot. Pressed up against the canyon wall, our site was roomy, private, and even had a creek flowing behind it, giving us a natural white noise to fall asleep to.
Enjoy a tour of our home for the next 3 nights.
Since we were pretty beat from the 10-mile hike, we turned in early so that we were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to explore the incredible waterfalls tomorrow.
The next morning, we woke up extremely early. Our waterfall chasing adventures were about to begin. After breakfast, we packed up our day pack and set off to explore the most iconic waterfall in the area, Havasu Falls. It was a little chilly and drizzly that morning, but I couldn't resist jumping in the sparkly turquoise water.
Next, we hiked about a mile to the next waterfall, Little Navajo, which turned out to be our absolute favorite. We had this magical waterfall all to ourselves.
I think this waterfall was our favorite because it's less photographed and less heard of than many of the others. We see photos and videos of Havasu, Mooney, and even Beaver Falls, but no one talks about the beauty of Little Navajo. And man, was she a gem.
It was hard to leave the Little Navajo oasis, but alas, it was time to see the next waterfall, 50-Foot Falls.
This one took a little bit of route finding. We navigated through an overgrown pathway and crossed through the river to get to this stunning waterfall.
50-Foot Falls is another hidden gem in Havasupai. It's a swimmer's paradise and definitely shouldn't be skipped.
We spent the rest of the day hiking to the village, stocking up on snacks, grabbing a giant Diet Coke, of course, and revisiting Havasu and Little Navajo Falls.
Once we got back to camp, we started making dinner. As we enjoyed our homemade dehydrated backpacking meal, we chatted about the incredible waterfalls we had just witnessed and made exciting plans for the next day of waterfall chasing.
After a good night's rest, we woke up feeling ready to conquer our last day of waterfall adventures. How was it the last day already?
We ventured to the other side of the campground and explored Mooney Falls and Beaver Falls, which are the other 2 iconic waterfalls down in Havasupai.
Getting to them is an adventure. We had to descend 200 feet down a slippery cliff, relying on chains, bolts, and ladders to get us safely to the bottom. This climb is not for the faint of heart. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. Because of people's stories and reactions that I had seen and read, I definitely overhyped it in my head. I mean, it was sketchy, but personally, I thought it was scarier coming back up. The way down was just so much fun.
Mooney Falls is the tallest and most impressive of the 6 waterfalls in Havasupai. At the bottom, there's plenty of room to spread out, so we took advantage of this by admiring the falls and taking photos and videos of this spectacular waterfall.
It was time to say see you later to Mooney Falls, and we began navigating our way through Havasu Creek to get to the next waterfall, Beaver Falls. We are hiking to Beaver Falls. We just descended the chains to Mooney Falls that you just saw. Now we're hiking through the creek/creekside jungle, and we are almost to Beaver Falls. Woo.
The adventure from Mooney Falls to Beaver Falls involves crossing the creek 3 times, descending more sketchy ladders, including one that looked like it was plucked from the shelf of a Home Depot, and scrambling across rocks.
The trail to Beaver Falls, with its lush green foliage, crystal clear creek crossings, colorful blooming cacti, and adventurous climbs, surprised us so much that it turned out to be our favorite adventure of the entire trip.
The fact that we saw an adorable bighorn sheep milling around in the grass was icing on the cake.
Once we saw Beaver Falls from above, I'm pretty sure our jaws dropped to the floor. It was so different than all of the other waterfalls we had seen.
There wasn't just a single drop, there were cascading tiers of falls separated by shallow turquoise pools. We couldn't stop staring.
But we weren't there yet. We still had to get back down to the creek, which involved, you guessed it, more sketchy ladders, more rock scrambles, and more river crossings.
Beaver Falls is a magical oasis. That's truly the only way to describe this slice of paradise. With its shallow pools and terraced falls, there are endless places to hang out and swim.
Of course, I had to get in the water here too. I took advantage of the warmth and sunshine by splashing in the pools and sitting on the turquoise tiers.
After eating lunch and swimming in the waterfall, we made our way back upstream to Mooney Falls, crossing the creek 3 times once again, and soaking in all the glory at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
We capped off the day by eating some of the famous native fry bread, which was absolutely delicious, and sipping coffee and tea by Mooney Falls at sunset.
It was emotional having to say goodbye to such a special place, but we knew we'd never forget it.
The next morning, we set our alarms for 3 a.m., packed up camp, and hit the trail. We needed headlamps for the first hour or so, and then we got to watch the canyon light up as the sun rose above the towering walls.
The 10-mile hike back to the hilltop went smoothly. Well, mostly. We were moving pretty quickly for the first 9 miles, anxious to get back to the car and grab a huge meal and an ice-cold Diet Coke.
But then we met up with that last mile. The last mile out of the canyon is the hardest and the steepest. We had to climb over 1,200 feet of elevation in that last mile alone. By this point, we had hiked 39 miles in the last 4 days, so that 40th mile was rough. But with the help of some sugary candy and many rest breaks, we finally made it to the top. We made it. 40 miles in 4 days. Whew.
It's a lot.
Well, that was an adventure of a lifetime.
I'll say. One of the best parts about backpacking is the post-hike meal. So we rewarded ourselves with fat, juicy burgers, crispy french fries, and a thick chocolate and vanilla milkshakes in Kingman.
What you got there?
Got some fries. Big fat burger. But the best part, brownie batter frosty.
Oh yeah.
What do you got?
Fries, a burger, and I just got vanilla. I know, it's boring. I kind of wanted to get...
You're such a white girl.
I kind of want to go back and get a brownie one now.
Do it.
Or I'll just share yours.
No, you gotta get your own.
Okay. But it's our reward.
All right, that's it. After 40 miles of hiking, slaps.
As we made our way back to Lake Mead to camp at our favorite Las Vegas area campground, Boulder Beach, we reminisced about our spectacular 4 days in the land of Turquoise Waterfalls. Even though this is a place that was higher up on my bucket list than it was Erica's, I am so grateful that she went with me and that we got to experience this magical place together. She doesn't love being in water, so I'm extra grateful that she braved all of the waist-deep river crossings, the powerful spray from the waterfalls, and the pouring rain to be with me. She even sat in the water with me at Beaver Falls. Havasupai is a place everyone should see at least once in their lives. As you descend into the canyon, twist through the towering walls, and enter the land of the Turquoise Waterfalls, you will feel like you've stepped into a storybook. Watching the landscape transform from dry and rocky to wet and lush almost felt like you've been transported to another place. I can't believe we got to experience this turquoise waterfall fairy tale in the middle of the desert.
If you'd like to see more of our adventures this year, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're trekking to Machu Picchu, section hiking the AT, backpacking in British Columbia, exploring Michigan's UP, and so much more. You're not going to want to miss these. Until next time, we'll see y'all on the trail.
Bye!